Morgan has requested me on Patreon to review the John Carpenter film In the Mouth of Madness. Even though I'm an admirer of Carpenter's work, I surprisingly had not seen this one yet, despite the following it has. I watched it knowing as little about the plot as possible and found it a creative and well-done horror movie. Interesting enough, the film is written by Michael DeLuca, who was president of New Line Cinema at the time and is currently running Warner Brothers Pictures. He does not have too many screenwriting credits to his name, as he's primarily focused on being a producer and studio executive, but this film does show he has a certain amount of imagination. I interpreted In the Mouth of Madness as being about the effect that horror literature can have on readers. Sam Neill's insurance investigator, John Trent, does not think much of horror novels, but he eventually comes to realize the impact they can have. The fictional author in the movie, named Sutter Kane, appears to be modeled after Stephen King, with him being a successful horror author, and even the fonts of his book covers are reminiscent of what you might see on a King book. Stephen King is even mentioned by name in the movie as an author who Kane outsells. There are also elements of H.P. Lovecraft, including the very title of the movie, but I admit to not being familiar with his work outside of elements that have entered popular culture, like his famous monster Cthulhu. The movie also contains themes and visual elements common in John Carpenter's other movies. I was most reminded of The Thing, with how certain characters alter their appearance and do physical acts no human being is capable of. The structure is also interesting, as the movie begins with Trent locked in an asylum and already having lost his mind, so the majority of the film is told in a flashback format as we learn what led him here. Sam Neill gives a great performance, showing Trent's initial attitude towards Kane's books and him then grappling with the strange occurrences at a small town named Hobbs End. The movie plays with reality in clever ways, as the worlds written about in Kane's books manifest in the actual world and we see what he's planning. The film draws you in with a lot of the unusual imagery, particularly the nightmares that Trent has and some of the people he meets along the way. When something crazy happens, that's not just there for the sake of being weird. It has an actual purpose in Trent's journey through Kane's imagination and inspirations. Kane himself proves to be quite a diabolical villain, especially as we learn more about what he wants to do. He's someone who could pop up at any moment, and we see the mental effect he has on Trent over the course of the movie. There is creativity in the monsters and the strange people we encounter, with the makeup department pulling out all the stops in depicting their sometimes grotesque appearances. John Carpenter often likes to make movies about people who encounter something otherworldly, either supernatural or from another planet. While he did direct Starman, a romance about a friendly alien who forms a relationship with an Earth woman, most of the fantastical characters his protagonists come across are not so nice, and often try to murder everyone they come across or take over the world. I think a major reason John Carpenter's work continues to resonate is that while some of the themes and plot lines can be dark and gruesome and tap into some of our biggest fears, he's still interested in entertaining the audience and taking them on a wild ride. There are certain images that often stick out in his movies and stay with you even if you've only seen them once. Now, I will admit there were some parts in the Mouth of Madness I found a bit silly. There's often that risk when you make a movie like this, which relies so much on the bonkers events witnessed by the characters. A few of the special effects also looked a tad iffy, although I give it a little leeway since computer-generated effects were still in their infancy at this point, and Industrial Light and Magic were likely not working with the same budget they were given on the likes of Jurassic Park and Terminator 2. The movie does turn things around in the ending, though. I will not spoil the ending for you in case you have not seen the movie yet, but Carpenter and DeLuca found the right note to close out the story and Trent's arc. I think In the Mouth of Madness is ultimately about the filmmakers expressing that horror is a lot more sophisticated and impactful than it's given credit for, and that maybe more than any other genre, it has a way of digging into our subconscious with the images and monsters created by authors and filmmakers. While he is obviously the villain of the movie, Sutter Kane is still someone who wants to showcase his creativity as opposed to the snooty attitude Trent has towards his work at the beginning, or the publishers who see his books as money-making opportunities and a way to sell the film rights and other ancillary revenue. Overall, In the Mouth of Madness is a solid horror film with the flourishes one hopes for from John Carpenter. If you've seen the movie, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for the request, Morgan.